Welcome to Whachacha's Tabletop World, a channel devoted to the love of board gaming. My name is Sweetness Whachacha, and today we're looking at Ransom Notes. This is my overview and my thoughts of this magnetic poetry party-style game. Okay, in this party-style game, you're going to have magnetic poetry, and you're going to be making a little story. Now, let's take a look here. You're going to get this box, which has a You're the Judge. We'll go into that in a second. You're going to get a whole bunch of these cards. As you can see, I haven't made my way through all of these yet. And these are the prompts, okay? And so we'll go into that in a second. Every player is going to get one of these little metal, there's a bunch of these. They're little metal trays. And then each player is going to get a big pile of these. Now they recommend to get about 75 for each player. So you'll dump out, a big pile like this. You're not really counting. You're just going to get roughly enough to make some kind of sense of it. So the first thing you're going to do is each player is going to take a few minutes and kind of straighten these. And so let's do that. So once you have everything sort of flipped over, you'll set a timer for 60 or 90 seconds, and depending on what everybody wants to do, and then you'll flip over one of these cards. This is a prompt, so it will say, tell the job interviewer why you haven't worked in 3 years. Then you're going to make a little sentence here. You could do something very simple, like write like fool, or or you could do like fight boss, or you could do like arrest crusty crack. That's kind of a little naughty. You could do like crazy war boss, arrest crusty crack. You could do anything kind of arrest crisis, boss arrest crisis. You could do like, you could just be like filth, wrinkly, absence. You could do something like that. So you kind of just play around for 60 or 90 seconds. Those are just some very quick thoughts that I had for this. But, you can make any number of long little stories or whatever, depending on what the prompt asks you for. Once everyone is done, you will take this box. You'll notice it says You're the Judge on one side, and you'll kind of spin it. And whoever the You're the Judge is facing will be the judge. They'll pick their favorite. The person who has the favorited one will keep this card. The first person to get 5 cards will win the game. The other thing is, after you do each round, after you do each card, and someone is awarded this card, then you can throw these aside and draw some new tiles out of the bag to replace them. So you can see, you can do that. There are some alternate scoring where you kind of pass all of your, little slides here to the judge. Then they pick one, after shuffling them, so they can't decide on a particular player. And then there's another mode where you can not replenish your pieces, so you have to be more and more creative with what you pick. So yeah, that's basically how you play Ransom Notes. Okay, so what do I think of this game? Right off the bat, 25, 30 years ago, I remember this whole craze happening with this magnetic poetry. And I thought it was like very, very cool. I had a bunch on my fridge. A lot of my friends did. And it was just sort of the thing that you would go and you'd make little poems, and, often very dirty or naughty kinds of poems. And so it was fun. And, honestly, like, that's such a creative thing. It's such a cool thing to have in your fridge because, I have a lot of creative friends. I like to think that I can be creative sometimes. And it's just kind of sort of a fun little, like, surrealistic almost game or whatever. There's a lot of games like that. This is probably honestly worth it to buy. I think it was like $35 or something, just for the magnets, okay? Like, you could just, if you don't like the game or you don't like playing the game, you can put them on your fridge, and, that'd be a great little activity for people hanging around, drinking a beer or some coffee or something, chatting, and they, when if they're in the bathroom or something, and they make a little fun little thing on your fridge. So I think that's really cool. Now, so how is this as a game? This is kind of a neat idea, this You're the Judge thing. Okay, that's cool. But realistically, I mean, it's a clever thing the way they've done it. I guess I should say original more, but I don't really care for that myself. This feels to me that it as better as an activity as it does a game. So there's a marketed version of Telestrations, which is kind of based on this surreal game of like, writing a sentence and passing the paper, and then that person draws something, and then, you have this game of telephone. And that, to me, I've never scored that. I actually very rarely played the commercial version. We usually just play it with pens and paper. And this game feels like that to me, where I don't really care like who wins. And in fact, like one player could be the judge a million times. It's kind of odd, but ultimately, I think that this is really fun to play. I really like being creative, and it feels more like an activity. So game versus, some people might think like, oh, who cares what's a game versus an activity? Well, to me, like a game is, has a bunch of parameters to it. But this is, I think, really helps you. I love games and activities and things that help to move your mind and get your creative juices flowing. And this one absolutely does that. Talking about role playing in the past on the channel, I've talked about how, that is such a fantastic and great way for you to learn, improv and writing and acting and all of these other skills that you need to be like to enter a creative, hobby or job. And this, like, no pressure. Like if you've got somebody that doesn't really like to play games, or if you just have 10 minutes to sit around, you could just sit oh yeah, cool, let's play. Spill out your pieces and, all make little poems. And, it's so cool because there's so many like word games for party games and, drawing games. And this is something totally different, which I really like. And it's kind of in the way that party games are made to, when they're involved drawing, you're constrained by time or something so that like the best artist doesn't win, right? And you just laugh at that sort of thing. But you're constrained here on your choices, and often that will create like organic comedy, because you're like creating these really weird, oddball little sentences and things. And that's quite fun. It's actually very, very fun and funny. It's great just like reading that's the best part. Like once you're all done and the timer goes off, everybody shows theirs or reads them and everybody has like a laugh. And I think this is really great for people that are not that competitive, or if they're not that interested in, playing games in general, but they are creative. This is really, really a great game for that. Now, as I said, you could just buy this and it would be great just to put them on your refrigerator. But I think that this actually is the best part of this whole package, are these little prompts. I mean, again, they'd be great for prompts just for writing or any other activity, any other creative activity where you need to brainstorm. But, they're fantastic. I mean, like, tell a stranger they look very nice today. Well, of course, that's not the best prompt, but for this game, it's really good. Write an application to NASA to be an astronaut. I mean, you could write some really crazy fun things. That's really what makes this, to me, like not just a box of these this magnetic poetry. So those prompts are really funny and amusing on their own. I'm not going to read a ton of them. I just read a few so you can get a sense, but I don't want to spoil them for you. But they're really, really well done. The prompts are really well done. There's a ton of them. I mean, I haven't even gone through these all yet. And it's pretty relaxed. It's nice to have a game where you're like, okay, well, yeah, go ahead. You take that one. I liked yours a lot. And that's kind of when we played. We were like, you know what? Yours is the best one. We all sort of just agreed on who had the best one because it wasn't really that important and we weren't really playing a competitive thing. And it's nice to have games like that. Great filler game. The only downsides I would say to this is that it does take a little while to like sort of put all your pieces out. And also when you first get the game, you have to peel, and you'll see here, there's a lot. I mean, I should show you that, like this is a lot of, and that might not look like that much, but like this clump here, like this is 2, this is like, well, that's just 1, but that's 4. So they stick together a lot. There are a lot of words here, okay? Because again, all these clumps is like a bunch of them stuck together. So there's a lot to it, which is really cool, I think. So all in all, great prompts, fantastic activity. Not so much as a game is it as much fun, but really great for maybe non-gamers or creative people, or just, like sitting in a bar or something and just making silly sentences up and all cracking up. I think this is a fantastic little game. Again, because I love the magnetic poetry in general, that was great for many, many years, decades ago at this point, dating myself. But the prompts really do a great job of really bringing this to life. So yeah, and just for fun, I'll have a couple pictures here so you can see some of the silly little poems that we made when we were playing, my wife and niece and I. Hopefully that helped you to figure out whether this game is for you or not. But for now, I gotta roll.